We thought it'd be a good idea to start with the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The question we are asked by far the most: are we anti-religious or are we anti-SJW?
Yeah, the answer to that is neither. So we're not specifically anti-religious. We're not specifically anti-social justice. We're more anti-fundamentalist. And let me unpack the mission statement for everyone. So the mission statement is we promote viewpoint diversity to limit the effects of authoritarianism, whether that's ideologically based or religiously based, with the view of a more pluralistic society.
And that is something relatively new that, if memory serves, really started off in 2016 for us, and I think the catalyst was the Reason Rally, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So our first conference was in April of 15, and we had some others after that, but we got really jazzed up for the Reason Rally, which was this meeting at the DC Mall of atheism, and it was supposed to be like politics, and it was kind of the World Cup of atheism as a build-up. In 2012, there was a huge meeting, and this was supposed to be bigger and grand, and so we're going to go. And so we did, and we live streamed it, but there was a lot of hubbub going on YouTube at the time, and there was groups saying, "Oh, you go! This is going to be the best ever," and then there was some that said, "No, don't go." So, there's
this atheist talking.
These are all atheists in the blogosphere, the YouTube sphere, and the Twitter. So, I was asking these questions to the attendees there. What do you think about this? And people were saying, "Yeah, I think there's something to it." No, some didn't.
Okay, so there was disagreement with attendees at the Reason Rally, and is it fair to say that there were essentially two camps? People who thought that atheism should be focused on broad topics within social justice, and others that said, no, you know what, we're our own group, and we should only be focused on, religion. That's correct, but it's a little bit more than that. So there was those that said, yes, we're all atheists, but we want a specific, and they called it kind of secular humanism, sometimes social justice. We really want to focus this as core of what we're doing. And then there was others that says, no, we don't want to do that, but moreover, they were saying, we actually think that's a fundamentalist ideology that strikes us like a religion. Okay, and when you say fundamentalist ideology, give us the Brian, the holistic definition. What do you mean by that?
So imagine you're in an insular religious community, right? This is where you're raised, and then you start to question God, and you might ask, is God real? Are we sure that it's Jesus? Is heaven, like they said, do we really believe there's a hell? You might get a warning, but you risk, if this community is very, very fundamentalist, getting thrown out of this. So now imagine, to make this an ideological community, so imagine today, and you're in this kind of more insular social justice community that's of that stripe, and you say, are we sure that Black Lives Matter is a good thing? Is cultural appropriation wrong, or is that normal? Is the wage gap real, or is it a myth? You might be given a warning, but you might also be thrown out of that group. And I think that's the way it functions.
So fundamentally, you're saying that you can't have conversations with fundamentalist ideologies. It's my way or the highway, and there's no going around whatever the prescribed path is.
Yeah, I think that's what I would define as an ideology, is that we're not allowed to talk about it, and that talking about it itself, it is the problem, that you're part of the problem if we want to talk about it. So if someone says, yeah, let's have a talk about the wage gap, let's break it down. No, you're not a fundamentalist, you're just debating the wage gap. So then, is it fair to say that our organization was never anti-religion, in that we never opposed, if you want your own religion, by all means, just don't impose it upon government institutions, religious institutions, etc. In the same way with social justice. No one is saying, at least we are not saying, that social justice is wrong, but when it breaches these fundamentalist barriers, when it spills over into institutions, that's when it's a problem. Yeah, when you can't question why we're right, how do we know this? If you can't ask those questions,
you're gonna be in trouble. And I think that's how I define it. You've got to be able to ask, like, yeah, is God? Why do we believe in God? And if they say yes, we do. Like, the best example is at the Reason Rally. I spent a lot of time talking to the Christian protesters that were there, and one of the women that we had argued over, like, kind of the God debate, and somehow church and state came up, and she goes, "Well, I believe in separation of church and state," and I'm debate over. Like, yes, we can argue the rest of the stuff. Like, well, let's go get a beer, because we don't have a fundamental disagreement anymore. We have, debate about whether or not a deity exists.
I think setting this groundwork for us to have more specific conversations in the future is perfect, because we've now address the overarching idea of what we believe in individually, but also what the organization believes in is that we're completely neutral. We are not anti-anything other than potentially fundamentalist ideologies.
Yeah, and that I think, the organization is not going to take a stance on social justice. It will take a stance on whether or not talking about the solutions is a problem. There is a concept out there that says that the marketplace of ideas is BS, and that talking about these things is stupid. Yeah, MM as an organization does oppose that, and we will have our personal biases, I'm sure, and we don't speak for the organization. We can give our personal opinion. But
so this is one of many, and we hope people join us in the future as we unpack specific topics within government, within education, where we see these pervasive ideologies creeping, and where we think people should shed a light on it.
That's correct, and I'm looking forward to it. I think this will be a good conversation.
Awesome.